just to be in this room with you, with the people that work for 3As, some of our former apprentices, some of our partners and colleagues. There's an energy in a space like this that you can feel the minute you walk through the door. And the physical space just supports that. But you know, one of the things I think that strikes me most about 3As and the success of 3As is the unbelievable energy of the people that drive it forwards. That's the heartbeat of what we're doing here. That's the heartbeat of what we try to achieve. And I'm not going to tell you big inspirational stories, but what I am going to do is name drop quickly, just so that, because I know none of you know who I am. So I'm going to name drop quickly, apart from knowing Richard, obviously, and Pete and Di, you know, that's obviously. And then I'm just going to share a bit of my own research, hot off the press, that I was working on this morning. And you know those minutes, it's like Zeitgeist, where you're doing something in the quiet of your own office, and you have one of those, you think, oh, this will work this evening. So 2 birds, 1 stone, that's what I'm going to do. Let me just start, though, because I think education and continuous education has never been more important, ever, in the history of humanity. You know, the world is turning and shifting so fast that we have no idea what the workplace is going to look like in 10 years' time. We have no idea what the demands on the workforce is going to be in 10 years' time. And so what we need is a truly ingrained culture of continuous learning and development and education. People have often said to me, my background's in education. What would my dream be for the future of education? And my dream for the future of education is that it's available for all from cradle to grave. That we don't have some kind of false idea that it begins here and ends there. That actually education is a continuous driven process. And it's why the new structures that we're seeing come through that 3As are very strongly at the heartbeat of, whether it's apprenticeships, whether it's levy business. This is all coming together for me to create, hopefully, opportunities for people that will allow them to be educated and develop and work in meaningful environments from cradle to grave. So the name drop is this. A number of years ago, I had the great honor and privilege and it seems appropriate in a space where there is so much digital learning and IT training. I had the honour and privilege to meet Steve Wozniak, who some of you will know is the co-founder of Apple, actually arguably the real genius, because he was the guy that built the stuff, right? Steve flogged it, Wozniak made this stuff. And I remember having a conversation with him about a number of things. He's a fascinating, fascinating man. We actually shared a plane. We were sat next to each other on a plane for 7 hours. It's the most exciting experience of my life. He couldn't wait to get off. I've never seen a man down so much whiskey and put headphones on so quickly in my entire life, but there you go. I talked about a number of things, and 2 things struck me that I think are pertinent to us, to what we're trying to achieve, and to what I've just said. The first is this. He said, you know, when we set up Apple, he said, and there is an awful lot of rubbish written about Steve Jobs. He said Steve's fundamental genius was very simple. When we created Apple, he said right from the outset that if we as a company made stuff, and once we'd made and developed and perfected stuff, we kept just making it, that we would be dead within 5 years, that our company would cease to exist. He said, what will define Apple going forwards, and every company on earth as we head into the future, that companies have to be ahead of the curve to such an extent that we're not making stuff, but actually we're designing and producing stuff people don't know they need yet. Now that comes back to what I was saying before, because what we need to do is shift an education agenda to stop preparing people for a world that exists now and start developing people who can actually take the mantle of developing the world of tomorrow in a sustained way. And I think that's what this whole idea of progressive, sustained and continuous education must do. And the other thing he said to me, which was very pertinently about education, he said, you know, I spend a lot of time now in and around the world of education, and he said one of the things that worries me a little bit is when people talk about education, they are constantly obsessing about what people need to know. He said, and in my humble experience, what people need to know changes so fast it's almost irrelevant. He said, but how people learn will define the success of people in the future. So continuous learning. And now the second bit, as I promised, onto the research hot off the press that I was doing this morning. I've been doing some work looking at one of the other companies I've been privileged enough to work with over the years, which is Google. And they've produced some very interesting research and reports in the last few years into successful employees, successful teams, and successful leadership. The two pertinent projects are called Project Oxygen, which was all about what made Google successful in terms of people and their behaviours around management and leadership, and Project Aristotle, which was all about how have the most effective teams at Google functioned in order to be sustainably developmental. Now, for me, 3As and this shiny new hub is the heart and broker of a team. It is the hub of a unique place where people from cross sectors come together to train and develop our future workforces and our current workforces to drive us forwards. And I thought it would be quite interesting to share with you the 4 key findings of what Google, through their massive data and research, decided were the 4 key elements that made team working successful. And I would suggest it's what we should all be striving for, not just today, but moving forward. Number 1, operate under what they call psychological safety. Now, in other words, very simply put, that is an environment where everybody feels safe and secure. And that's important because in order to develop, to learn, and to continuously move forward, you have to feel comfortable enough to take risks, because risks are risky, right? And failure is risky and dangerous, but we never develop and we never learn anything new unless we take risks. So one of the things that's important to us at 3As is this is a place filled with psychological safety for our staff, for our colleagues, for our partners, and for our apprentices and the people that are studying here. The second is dependability. One of the most important factors in any workplace is a place where you know you can depend on your teammates, where they will step in for you, you'll step in for them, they'll cover your backs and vice versa, where there is an absolute agreement in the quality of work, the quality of what needs to be done, and the trust in each other to make sure you support each other in that happen. The next is structure and clarity, that there is a clear structure about the methodology and the way we go about our business and the way we go about our jobs, that there is a continuity, that there are never shocks for people about the way they're educated or led or managed or working in a team, and that there's clear clarity about what our goals and objectives are. And as a member of the board at 3As, I can assure you that that is something that we continuously strive hard to monitor and ensure in the delivery of everything we're trying to achieve for everyone that partners with us in whatever capacity. I think the next one is hugely telling because it's about meaning. The most successful teams at Google have a sense of meaning. They have a sense of purpose. And what that means is that every individual in those teams feels a sense of purpose. Getting out of bed in the morning, whatever it is they give their energy to, they feel they're being productive, and most importantly, they feel they're being valued. These are things that I think we should always be aspiring to in every day and every interaction we have. And then finally, it's this, that there is a real sense of impact, that the results of one's hard work are actually making a difference. And again, here in this shiny new hub, I hope we all aspire to that. That every action, every interaction, whatever level we're partnering with or working for or with 3As, that every day gets easier to get out of bed if you know that what you did yesterday had an impact on your lives and the lives of the people around you. So it gives me huge honour and a great privilege to grab a pair of scissors in a minute and we will declare this fantastic hub of learning and development open. Congratulations to all of you that have helped to make this happen.